Oh, is it that time of the week already? This week in Cleantech time. I save 15 minutes or so to talk about the biggest stories in climate and clean energy every week with this guy, Mike Casey, the other side of the horn. Today is Friday, July 11th, 2025. We've got a returning guest on the show today, Mark Gongloff from Bloomberg. He's waiting for us to stop talking. I'm Factor This content director Paul Gerke, joined as always by Cleantech commentator Mike Casey of Tigercomm. Mike, are we feeling a little bit better than we were the last time we spoke?
All right, friend, I have some thoughts here. First, I want to say to our audience that there's no getting around how rough last week was, for sure. Many of you listening were working hard to avoid worst outcomes, so please accept my thanks for your efforts. In an unhelpful way, this legislative drive-by shooting, which we will no doubt discuss a lot more on this episode and the episodes to come, are a sign that you are actually a mainstream energy source. If you were a science project, the fossil fuel lobby would not have spent zillions of dollars trying to kneecap you. So just take that as a very, very thin silver lining.
Yeah, that's well said, Mike. And there's other silver linings out there, too. Look no further than the Department of Energy's grid resiliency report that just came out this past week. We're looking at what's happening in ERCOT down in Texas, so we know what DOE is saying is not exactly correct. There's a lot to be said about the power of clean energy right now, so keep doing what you're doing, guys. And you're right, Mike. There could have been a lot worse outcomes. Some of the verbiage in the early versions of that bill would have been even worse nightmares than the ones that we got stuck with. So, as always, thank you to the listeners. This is a big community. We appreciate how much you guys give us on this show. Hopefully, we give a little back. If you want to be a part of it, you can nominate stories every week. Just email me, paul.gerke@clarionevents.com. We've got 5 stories. We could have had 50 stories. Mike, let's get to the first one.
All right, Jake Spring at the Washington Post. Trump's crackdown on renewable energy has just begun. Jake is a former This Week in Cleantech guest. Paul Gerke,
another one, as the kids say. They are legions. They're lining up. Yeah, they are legion at this point. They're starting to really rack up, Mike. We're getting close to 100 episodes of this show, by the way. I don't know if you're counting at home. Anyway, so-called...
I want a bigger star trailer. If we get to 100, man.
I shouldn't have said that. Oh, we could have got right into the article, and then I got him started on the star trailer stuff. My fault. Brian Mendez, I apologize. Anyway, so-called One Beautiful Bill. You may have heard of it by now. It passed while you were out at your barbecue or playing with your kids in the sprinklers. Legislators were forcing the last bit of it through, driving that last nail through the coffin. If you haven't read about it by now, I recommend you check out Jake's piece or go over to Factor This and check out mine. There's a lot going on with this timeline to phase out tax credits for renewable projects. For solar and wind, it's dramatically cut off, Mike. Batteries got put in with geothermal and nuclear, so their timelines originally promised for tax credits by the IRA remain in place. But there's a lot changing about what qualifies and what's under construction to take advantage of those credits that remain. And right after the bill passed, Trump issued an executive order that you, the listener, may have also heard about by now that is sort of ambiguous, directing Treasury to strictly define what counts as under construction, which seems to narrow projects that maybe the Trump administration doesn't like, read wind and solar. Mike, what did you think of this?
So I think that in a strict sense, the headline on this story overshoots the reported development. But it is a very helpful headline in telling all of us in clean tech that as long as we are a threat to market share, the incumbent lobby is going to try to crush us. It's nothing personal. It's just them using the means at their disposal. Any magical thinking remaining in this sector should be banished. If I may, I'm going to read you the headline of the presidential action so you can just take this in. It says, quote, ending market distorting subsidies for unreliable foreign controlled energy sources. So just, folks, take that in.
Paul, Mike, hold on, though. Wait, we got to touch on that because that angers me so much when you think about how much, especially progress we've made in solar domestic manufacturing lately. What does Martin Pochteruk over at Hellion think about that statement? What does someone at Suniva think about that? What are the folks working over at Sunrun to do their best to make that business profitable think? I mean, like, what about the people that are building all these factories in the battery belt to try to support American manufacturing? I'm sorry, we could go on, but yeah, well said, Mike. Story number 2, Robinson Meyer, Charlie Kleins from Heatmap. It's called The Permitting Crisis for Renewables. Mike, tell me about it.
Okay, so audience will remember that February of last year, we had Elizabeth Weiss on. She was discussing an 18-month reported package in USA Today that found that 15% of counties were effectively already banning wind and solar. So now Heatmap's new analysis finds the situation has expanded. So we are at 20% of counties across the U.S. 20%. They found the number of counties restricting renewable energy has nearly doubled since 2022. Wow. I want to say that again. The number of counties restricting you has nearly doubled since 2022. 17% of the landmass of the continental U.S. is now limiting your ability to help produce jobs and clean energy. So this reflects the growing politicization of renewable energy. It's, in my opinion, in my experience, one of the main reasons behind this wave of land use restrictions. And the local rules are hitting harder now because developers can't avoid them by turning to federal land since permitting has slowed at the Bureau of Land Management. Paul Gerke.
Yeah, we don't need anything taking projects off the grid right now, particularly considering reliability is probably going to be a bit of an issue moving forward in a lot of places. One of the things that were hit particularly hard is restrictions for battery energy storage. Ever since January's Moss Landing fire, if you remember that one, Mike, there was a 275 megawatt battery project in New York that would have replaced a petroleum terminal. It would have done a lot for the local grid, but it was rejected, opposed by the residents, and they cited that Moss Landing fire a whole country away directly. Even if a project does pencil in, community opposition wastes years of time and raises the final cost of any project by many times millions of dollars. It's tough out there, and it's crazy to hear that statistic, Mike, especially considering how much growth there has been in the sector in that same time span.
Yes.
What's our third story?
This week in Cleantech, former guest Alvin Halper at the Washington Post. How the Trump bill could help China win at AI. Paul Gerke.
That is an undercurrent of a lot of the conversations I've been having lately. Is say what you will about what this does to Americans and their electricity bills and our infrastructure, but what this really does is hand China a win. Do you feel that way, Mike?
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to feel the same. This budget bill costs hundreds of billions of dollars in clean energy, as you've no doubt heard by now. You may have seen this think tank, Energy and Innovation. They tried to put a figure on it, estimating it's like 344 gigawatts over the next decade. I think it was like 200 something planned in the short term, just as China is more or less driving its economy with clean energy right now. They're putting so much on. It's a staggering amount. They've added more in China, this is just wind and solar, in the last 5 months than 4 times the total new electricity added in the entire United States from all energy sources last year. China's adding nuclear too. Also some fossil fuel plants. Peaker stuff, Mike. They're doing all the things that we talk about doing over here.
Yes. So the administration plans to add more electricity from gas and nuclear, but those can take years to build. Solar and wind can be built quickly, which is what we need to get ahead of the AI race. To keep up with AI demand, federal regulators say the U.S. needs to add the total power used by California, Texas, and New York to its grid by 2035. So
that sounds easy enough. No problem.
Since paranoid speculation seems to be very much in style these days, I will share something that dawned on me earlier this week. Mr. Gerke, I think it is a non-zero chance that part of the incentive from this bill was to slow down the rate of AI implementation by constraining power sources so the current administration does not get stuck with the massive cuts that are coming to white-collar non-skilled white-collar work in this country.
Well, that's assuming AI actually pans out and that bubble doesn't burst, Mike, because I've been reading some stuff on the other side of that token that's like, maybe what happened with Twitter's Grok this past week is more of a reality and a terrifying future that will... I mean, you laugh, but like when you start giving machines brains to think for themselves, all sorts of dangerous things could happen, not just Terminator stuff. It could be real hostile to its users. Anyway, yeah, I don't know where this is going, Mike, but... I still got.
You need to go to story. It needs to go to story number 4.
Yeah, I was going to say I still got a paycheck and benefits. So let's do story number 4. Larry W. Schwartz from Latitude Media. It's called America Invents. Others deploy. Nothing but dark news from the Grim Reaper, Mike Casey.
All right. First, I'm just going to make a statement. I think we need to start getting Venmo payments from Latitude Media and Heatmap for growing their subscriber base.
Yeah, they're my competitors directly.
Yeah, I want to say, were it not for our considerable star power, Mr. Gerke, one might think these two outlets are actually doing terrific reporting.
I think they are doing some terrific reporting. I'll give them credit.
All right, from long-duration batteries to modular nuclear reactors, America leads in innovation, though it's trying to give that away. Let's be clear. Since the IRA passed in 2022, $300 billion with a B investment in Cleantech has been announced, but much of that funding is for projects that remain unbuilt amid tax credit uncertainty, DOE loan holdups, and pulled clean energy program funds. Other nations are starting to pull ahead in development. Australia, for example, has a Future Made in Australia package comparable to the IRA that will boost clean tech. It also has rich natural resources and strong trade ties, Mr. Gerke.
Well, I wonder what the number on the letter that President Trump sent to them said. I hope it's not too big, because it sounds like they're working on some fun stuff down under. Even with strong backing from DOE loan guarantees, a lot of U.S. clean tech companies are now trying to find some faster revenue overseas. A lot, I hear, Mike, in the developer space are looking for quicker flips now, too, looking to exit some of these situations they're in. Foreign governments, though, treating clean tech as essential to national security, as they should be, offering aligned policies, financing, long-term support. Larry argues that the smart move for many U.S. clean tech companies is to grow in markets that see clean energy as essential infrastructure. Think New York, California, not thinking about climate policy necessarily. Building abroad, rather, doesn't mean abandoning the U.S. market, though, Mike. It means creating some new market share that wouldn't otherwise exist, helping U.S. clean tech companies grow globally and hopefully sustain some domestic momentum. Story number 5, let's get our guest on the show.
Yes, Mark Gongloff with Bloomberg. He writes, the GOP wants to give big oil a handout it doesn't need, and this portion of our show, Paul, will be oiled by the tears of the fossil fuel bros on LinkedIn who pretend like corporate welfare for fossil fuels doesn't exist. But Mark Gongloff is here to tell you differently. Mark, welcome to the show. If people have not read this awesome column, which we want them to, what's the big takeaway?
Big takeaway is that you were talking about this bill and all the ways it undercuts clean energy. At the same time, it's giving your word and my word too, welfare to the fossil fuel industry, which is about the least deserving industry on the planet for welfare right now. The Senate version of the bill added on about $18 billion worth of worth of subsidies for fossil fuels after the Senate had already given them tens and tens of billions of dollars. That bill is now law, and this is on top of the estimates vary. It could be 20 billion, could be 3 billion according to the IMF, 20 billion according to other measures that these industries get from the U.S. alone, all the way to 7 trillion in implicit subsidies for not properly pricing the damage their products do to all of us.
Well, I mean, Mark, if I can say something, have you seen the ramshackle state of Harold Hamm's private jet? I mean, I just think you're being a little harsh, okay? Because his private jet has had one fewer domestic servants on board. You try being him, okay? But Paul, I'm sorry. I'm dominating the conversation.
No, I just wonder how anyone can say with a straight face that renewables are these subsidy-sucking, cannot stand alone energy sources that, and then out of the same side of their mouths just sort of forget about the billions that are flowing into fossil fuel subsidies. How does one balance that conversation, Mark, or I guess keep it hid?
You have to have your brain broke. Well, you keep it hidden by, paying a bunch of money to lobbyists and paying a bunch of money to lobbyists, paying a bunch of money to various friendly media. Some of these LinkedIn bros, I meet them too all the time. But there's something you have to have cognitive dissonance to be able to say, oh my God, clean tech is getting all this government largesse, when really it only sort of achieved parity with fossil fuels, maybe after the passage of the IRA, and as quickly as they could, they destroyed every semblance of that parity. There's a little bit left, a few remnants left, as you point out. There are some maybe scraps that they can grab, that clean tech can grab onto. But the fossil fuel industry has been subsidized by this country for 100 years in various ways, and now it's going to be even fatter. And this is, and again, an industry. The top 5 companies in this industry made $100 billion in pure profit last year. The whole industry gave $350 billion back to shareholders last year, meaning, and they're not really into baby drilling right now, because they can kind of see what the future is for demand. So they're not rushing to drill. So this is not an industry that desperately needs support. And meanwhile, you were talking about China, China and other countries that are interested in the technology of the future are taking the ball and running with it. And we have completely left the playing field at this point.
I'm going to check any value judgment here, although I have plenty on this topic. I'm just acknowledging. Mark, what was the most memorable line of spin you got from the fossil fuel lobby on why they deserve this corporate welfare? I'm just dying to know.
Well, it's all the same tired stuff. It's all about energy security and affordability. It's the same tired stuff they're dragging out now. I mean, I still get, again, on LinkedIn and in my inbox, I still get people who tell me climate change isn't real. Most of the fossil fuel industry has moved on from that. Of course, maybe it's real, but maybe it's not so bad. And in the meantime, we need natural gas to serve as a bridge. We need security. We need all this stuff. But, as my colleague Liam Denning has written in great detail, what this bill is going to do is drive up people's energy costs. It is not going to make our grid more secure. It's leaving on the table a whole bunch of opportunities for companies, for growth, for jobs, and the ability to modernize our grid and our electricity for a future that is going to involve a lot of data sucking AI, potentially, whether it works or not. We're leaving all that behind for no good reason, for these really tired excuses that the fossil fuel lobby uses.
Well, Mr. Gerke, before all three of us are deported with Elon Musk,
no,
we have to go to our Cleantecher of the week.
You're joking, but when they check my podcast feed the next time at TSA, I'm going to be sweating because the stuff I've said about Elon and Donnie on this show, let me tell you. Cleantecher of the week. Let's do it. It's Mark Jacobs, not the clothier, co-founder of EVmath. That's more our speed. Mark led marketing for the DOE-funded EMPOWER Project. It helps workplaces install EV chargers for their workplaces for their employees in their workplaces. Very cool stuff. Cleantecher of the week, Mark Jacobs. Congratulations.
We need to thank our wonderful producer, Brian Mendez, who wants a private jet bigger than Christy Gnomes and Harold Hams, but we haven't given it to him yet. We have to thank Claire Quirin and Alex Peterson for gathering these stories.
And thanks to Mark Gongloff for sticking around and having a laugh with us and joining us again on this episode of This Week in Clean Tech. If you like the show, subscribe, leave feedback, share story suggestions, tell us to get bent, whatever you like. You can read all the articles we discuss every week by clicking on the links in the episode description. You could also check them out on factorthis.com. Until I see your pretty face again, Mike Casey.
I will see you next week. Thank you, Mark. Take care. Bye.